done, and now he's stealing from Melton. And again,
now I'm stealing your guest, everybody. I'm stealing Kevin's guest, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. There he is, everybody. Hi, Bryan. How are you, Bryan?
I'm doing all right, buddy. How are you?
So, should we keep Kevin on? How should we do this? Should we talk like this? Should we?
I think you could keep him up. Yeah. I mean, I like to look at Bob Levy's green hair. I've been very kind to Bob Levy.
Okay.
He's kind of an elder statesman. I don't want to shit on him too much, just because he's not that great of a comedian. And, Carl, look, right out of the gate, I'm good friends with E-Rock.
Okay.
So I'm not going to shit on E-Rock. I
honestly don't have a problem with E-Rock. We used to be pretty good friends. He just kind of piled on me one day with Cumia, and I was like, all right. So I don't have a problem with E-Rock. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm also a Carl Cuck. I'm really into WATP, WATS,
WATP
kind of shit. Yeah, I'm into all that stuff.
Okay,
so like me coming on to your show, I'm kind of crossing into enemy territory, but I think it's important that that you have a voice as well. That these two guys just don't run roughshod over you nonstop like they have been. Bob Levy just, he doesn't want me to come on and talk about Shuli. I guess it's because it's his friend, and he's like, oh, he's just another asshole who wants to say something. He's a nobody. What's he doing, making hundreds of dollars over there at Compound? Bob, if you're hearing this, go check out my Tell 'em Steve Dave Patreon, and if you don't die of a fucking heart attack, maybe you'll make it back to MLC. I'm not sure.
Whoa.
The guy's a fucking chain-smoking cadaver who says nothing, who sits by and lets Shuli fucking talk his dumb shit. And that's what I was coming to MLC today for. I want Shuli to retire.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm calling for Shuli's retirement. They're dragging Bob out. When I used to do Comic-Cons, I saw Stan a lot, Stan Lee.
Yeah, the great Stan Lee, Spider-Man.
Yeah, towards the end, Stan's in a wheelchair. Stan looks like a wax figure getting pictures taken with him, like he wasn't even there. And I feel that's the way it's turning with Bob Levy. He's just there. He looks like a wax figure.
I mean, Kevin's putting him in these weird, awkward positions where he has to choose one side or the other. And I mean, I heard from my sources, and it was pretty reliable, that this weekend in Pottstown, that Shuli, the producers, the whole network, they're going to have an intervention with Bob. Like, hey, we want out of the Kevin Brennan business. You choose a side now. So right. I don't know if that's going to happen.
That's probably what he's nervous about. He's probably nervous that, like his money's going to get fucked with. So if I come on and talk shit about Shuli's not going to be happy about it. And he has the same mentality that Shuli does. Because last week, E-Rock tried to get Shuli to come on Would You Kindly, the show that I do on Compound Media with him. And Shuli's like, I don't even know this guy. And Bob is like, he doesn't even know Shuli. It's like, you don't have to know someone to not like their brand of humor to think that they suck. Obviously, lots of people think I suck. I don't know any of them personally.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I get it.
I know E-Rock and Carl are both going to be like, are you out of your fucking mind going on Chad's show? Yes, I am.
Yes.
I dig you. I dig your antics, Mud Shark. I like the way you operate.
I mean, I'm aware of you because of the Kevin Smith connection. You're like his friend or something.
Yeah, I don't really see Kevin that much anymore. I've been doing a podcast called Tell 'em Steve Dave since 2010. By 2012, they turned it into a TV show called Comic Book Men on AMC.
I remember that. You were on that?
I was on that show.
Yeah, it was on after. Was that on after like Breaking Bad
Dead
and shit? Walking Dead. That's right.
Yeah, it was on Walking Dead. Right after Walking Dead. And I mean, it was on at midnight. It was on at 1 a.m. We didn't even have a time slot, but we were constantly getting viewers. So we just went on year after year until they got new execs. And you know the way new execs operate in entertainment, they're like out with the old and with the new, whatever
right
their ideas are. So we got canceled. But I think 7 years is a pretty respectable run.
It's fucking great.
And then after that, we started Patreon with Tell 'em Steve Dave. And sorry,
what's it
Bob.
Called? Plug it again. What is it?
Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Tell them Steve Dave.
Like EM. Tell 'em
so
Steve Dave.
Patreon.com.
It's a line from a Kevin Smith movie, actually.
Oh, okay.
And I do it with my buddy Walt, who also is on Comic Book Men, and Bryan Quinn from Impractical Jokers. And if Bob wants to go take a look at it, it's probably about 10 times the size of the Uncle Rico Patreon.
Wow. And don't tell Bob he's going to try to hitch his wagon to you guys now.
He does love hitching that wagon. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He's been doing his whole career. Stern, the guy in Cincinnati, what's his name? Kid Chris, Shuli, now Kevin. Janup Jacob, $2. Bob sits there and smokes and gets paid. Quite a racket.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty much what he does. Corey Adam. Hey, Bryan. This is for you, Bryan.
Hey, Corey
Adam. What do you think of Shuli taking 20% of the super chats?
I think it's bullshit. Well, first off, the whole Shuli network thing is like, first it's the Shuli network, and then when people call him on it, it's a joke.
Right.
And if that's humor, I don't get it. I don't understand the joke. Like, where's the joke in naming a network after yourself and then telling people you're just kidding around? And Carl from WATP is very kind to Uncle Rico. Like a couple weeks ago or a week ago when he was on the show, he was talking about how Uncle Rico does it the best because they got 3 comedians, which I couldn't disagree with more. I think they have 0 comedians on that show.
Wow.
Yeah, Mike Morse, give me a break.
Shots fired.
He has Mike Morse has a website teaching other people how to be funny.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know much about Mike. I don't know much about.
Nobody does, because nobody fucking cares to look into him. He's a nobody. He's literally nobody. He's been on the Stern. He was on the Stern show 20 years ago. I was on the Stern show.
Really?
I never talk about it ever.
Were you were on as a guest or working?
Guest. Because I made a movie in the early 2000s called Vulgar about a clown who gets raped. And,
wow.
Yeah. So Stern heard about it and he wanted to talk about it a little bit.
Vulgar.
Yeah. You got to check out a young Bryan Johnson with 2 ears pierced.
A young Bryan. I just watched Clerks. Was it Clerks 3 now?
Yeah.
And was that you playing hockey on the roof?
It was. I was at a funeral too.
Yeah, because I saw. I go. I think that's Eroc's guy. Oh, I just read that. So you don't like Shuli. So what's Carl's problem with me? Why is he like dogging me so bad? Like I don't. It's weird.
I don't know. I don't really talk. Like when I talk to Carl, it's never about like you or Shuli or any of these guys. It's mostly about WATP stuff. I don't know. I guess I think like I understand like the Kumia thing, the punch in the eye, all that. Like I understand you were trying to get something going.
Yeah.
I appreciated it. I thought it was funny. And the thing that I mean, I guess like, look, Carl brought your rap sheet on. Admittedly, you can't sit there and be like, well, I'm a fucking model citizen. And I think like maybe people hold that against you.
3 of those things were wrong though in that sheet. The 18, and there's a couple of them. I was like,
dude, there were like 30 pages.
But a lot of it was just traffic.
You're a bad boy. You're a bad boy. What can you say?
Driving under suspension and stickers. Corn Diff 9.99. First saw Bryan on the Chip Chipperson show. Big fan. Cheers, gentlemen. There you go. People know you.
Bob Levy thinks because he hasn't heard of me. I mean, the guy is older. He's probably doesn't have his finger on the pulse of anything, or maybe even have a pulse. I'm not sure. But he, but just because, like, he might have done a cursory Google to see that I do more than just a show with E-Rock.
So he's really dumb.
And honestly make more than Kevin Brennan made.
So the whole thing happened because you talked shit on Shuli. What exactly did you say? Sorry, I'm trying to put it all together, and I'm sure everybody knows what. I just don't. I'm trying to figure it out. I love the fact that you came on here and they were going to have you on there. That's funny.
Yeah, they don't want me. I'll go to the Mud Shark. My wife and I watch dual screens anyway.
Was that really your wife in the super chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hot, right?
Yeah. Good for you. Look at you.
Yeah.
Fame pays off.
Yeah. Bob Levy can say anything he wants about me, but like I have a healthy Patreon. I have a hot 29-year-old wife. I don't live in the fucking hub of entertainment, Alabama. You know, I mean, I know lots of New York comics, and not one of them have moved down to Alabama to further their career. That I don't get.
I think during the pandemic, there's a guy named Conrad Thompson. He's married to Ric Flair's daughter, and he also does mortgages. And he met Shuli through the network, and I think talked him into moving to Alabama. But I don't know. Shuli turned on me. We did a show in Side Splitters in Tampa like 2 weeks ago, and it was great. We got along. He wanted me to come over to the network. his producers wanted to work with me. They're like, we like what you're doing. We think you're on the upswing. And then, I have this misunderstanding with his Bob's wife, and it just got blown way out of proportion. She starts saying awful things. Bob starts saying awful things. The producers say, we can't work with you. Shuli blocked me on Twitter. And I'm like, all right, this is, I guess, what Shuli's all about. I've heard the rumors, but now it happened to me.
Yeah, I really don't like. I can sit here and say I have a kid. She's 17 years old. She has Down syndrome. She is objectively funnier, has better comic timing, and makes more in super chats when she live streams than the Uncle Rico show.
Wow, that's rough.
She has a lot of people who love her. Yeah, and that's a kid that's not working with a full deck, and she's still able to overcome that and out funny those fucking ass clowns.
Somebody's gonna clip this and people might see it. Are you cool with that?
I'm totally fine with it.
All right, Dr. Chow.
I wasn't totally fine with it.
Good to see Bryan on. He gets it, and the people win. Let's see if Kevin knows that you're on. Let's just check in real quick.
First of all, the one good thing about Ray DeVito, he never lies, and Chad always lies. So
Ray lies all the time.
That's not a difficult formula.
There's video of Ray lying.
If not lying is the one good thing about you, then there's not that many good things about. I mean, come on. Ray DeVito, again, like, this is a guy I don't know. I see him on Kevin's show, and I'm like, he seems, and I can say this because I got a kid with Down syndrome, he seems slow.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't say anything funny. Mike Morse doesn't say anything funny. Bob sits there and smokes like a fucking chimney. Like, these are not shows. Like, these are not shows that these guys do, beating a dead horse like the Uncle Rico. Like, and that's one of the things that pissed me off about Shuli is that, like, he drove John off the internet with his nonstop assaults on him, is what I believe anyway. And I feel like John would still be around. Carl did like little segments. John fought back. It was fun. But then Shuli goes on with this arrogance and this smugness. Like, he's done something more than John. It's like, if you look at their post-Stern trajectory, John has done far more than Shuli. Shuli's down there in Alabama trying to eke out a living from super chats and selling crystals for his fucking wife.
Wow. No, that was the thing. When I was during the pandemic, somebody was telling me about Carl and WATP. So I'd like listen to like the Stuttering John stuff and the Opie stuff, and it was like, it was entertaining. So I reached out to him. I wasn't really like a listener, but I said, hey, I'm a big fan, whatever, because he had a lot of followers. I'm like, oh, come on the show, and it didn't go well. I had an idea of what I wanted to do. I was like in a feud with Chrissy Mayer, and then and then I went on Kumia's show, and Carl called in, and he's like, yeah, you did great. It was great. Then all of a sudden, one day, Kumia, he just kind of turned. I'm like, okay. So, I mean, well, I don't even hate Carl. I really don't. Like,
I think, and I remember I was listening. I think it's when you kind of trolled him where you were like, Stuttering John's a good guy. And I remember listening to that show and, like, having listened to every episode of WATP, I'm like, I wasn't really that familiar with you. So I was like, what is this guy doing? Like, why is he doing this? It like kind of fucked up the show. It fucked up the flow of the show. And I think that's where Carl's disdain for you started, I believe.
Yeah. No, and we were friendly after that. We did another show. We'd send messages, and I don't know. It's kind of more or less escalated into something for some reason or another. I think the Stuttering John stuff was getting old, so I think he was like, we'll turn Chad to the next Stuttering John. I'm like, okay. So that's when I really started trying with YouTube in January. Like, I had one, but I really wasn't putting any effort into it. I was like, now I have to defend myself and fight back, where John just ran away. And now, I got a little bit of a following from it, and people seem to dig it, and as much as Carl like thinks he's running the podcast thing, not a lot of people like him either. It's, there's people that don't like me, but he has his enemies too. Dr. Chow is an actual doctor, and he says, you're correct, Bryan. Ray is slow.
All right. I didn't even go to medical school. Look at me.
Yeah, and this guy, I believe he's a doctor too. I believe everything on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to seeing Bryan Johnson. What else can't we see because of Bob's fears? Like I was gonna come on, and I was not gonna like really dig in hard to Shuli. I was just gonna like sort of call for his retirement because he's not good. If you're a fucking comedian for 20 years and you have to constantly remind somebody that you're a comedian and that you've paid your dues, whatever the fuck that means. Like, do you think people who go on like The Voice or any number of these talent shows, have they really paid their dues if they win? No. It's like they're talented, and that's just the way it is. I've done stand-up a couple times, not well, but I don't call myself a fucking comedian.
Mhm.
And if like Shuli, it's like, dude, if you're doing like Pottstown, there's 500 tickets with 470 left. Bro, try something else. I see all the time on TV now. Walmart is advertising not for their products, but they're like, hey, join the company and grow. Like, so I think what Shuli should do is like get a job at Walmart, work his way up to like assistant regional manager in Alabama, and be happy with that.